A survivor of child abuse reached out to me. They say there's a site crawling with predators. You and I are gonna find them, pry them, and them.
If there's any reason not to follow in MamaMax's footsteps with his style of pedo hunting, the ongoing drama surrounding CUPIDITE should be the lesson for anyone trying to carry on his legacy, whether intentional or not. Instead of milking drama, I try to learn something from drama. Why many people are rushing to judgment, either for or against, I think they miss a lot of things in between. So let me focus on one part of the recent CUPIDITE Response Doc that factors into a drama that led to a 15-year-old ending up in a situation where the police are now showing up at their home. For this video, it doesn't matter whether you know the creator or not, whether you like or dislike their content if you're familiar with them, or whether you think they're guilty of the allegations or not. The point is, maybe people who haven't yet made the mistake of following in MamaMax's footsteps can learn from this and avoid the road he steered them toward. Not that they didn't have any agency, but there is a certain amount of influence that should be factored in, despite what the diehards pro and against will shout at. So according to the doc, CUPIDITE's been scamming pedophiles for money because they saw it as an act of justice, trying to prevent people who harm children from using their money to cause further damage, claiming to be a victim of abuse and extortion, and using that to their advantage. There's more context. You can pause and read if you want. I wish I could say it's unbelievable, but sadly, there are probably many homes like this, places where these internet communities sort of form, especially in Discord groups, that gather up like-minded peers together. And even when they don't do anything to hurt themselves or other people, as you can find with such examples as the UTTP. Just the very fact that these groups form and get the brilliant idea of doing this sort of shit for clout, content, or whatever thing you can think, justice, and going into these dangerous ventures in this weird, twisted world that exists online and can lead to shit in the real world. There's also the witch hunts that occur afterwards that, frankly, sometimes, more times than not, disregards all the context in these drama because of moral outrage, which blinds people to the actual facts and nuance of these situations. I can understand the logic, either serving as an example for said community or the wider internet at large to serve as an example of what not to do. But this can also lead these particular people to even darker places and even worse actions that could impact themselves once they become an adult and everyone around them, if not handled at least with a little bit of subtlety and nuance with the actual sense of actual justice. Here's a bit more of MamaMax's KidChat.net.
That is age, sex, and location. Being the prowler, I act under the guise of a 13-year-old girl from Dallas, Texas, to see who bites. Every single one was older than 18. They are fucking done for.
And I can see how this video could easily be interpreted as a guide or even a ethical justification by many people, especially someone under the age of 18. They might see this as a form of justice and completely miss the 1-second disclaimer at the very start of the video, basically saying it's all fictitious. So,
on March 5th, 2024, I was openly discussing and boasting about scamming pedophiles in my now deleted Discord server.
This sets up how CUPIDITE met one of their now accusers, Prim. to show that Prim actually reached out to them first, something that was completely omitted from the doc against her and the video that followed.
And looked up to him. The relationship was also very sexually abusive, with Daisy often encouraging Prim, if not downright forcing Prim to sexualize herself at the age of 15 for Daisy's entertainment.
Sounds pretty damning to me, but is it true? I mean, it is true that CUPIDITE planned to scam pedos for money using the tactics they took from MamaMax's video and applied them to the real world, or at least the internet. Also, I need, in fairness, to correct CUPIDITE here. None of this is explicitly, but it is strongly implied. Just because the word catfishing came up and was clear to them, assuming Prim even knew what that word meant is a false assumption here. Same with the bit about the video call with camera off. Yes, most people here know what CUPIDITE is trying to say with this, but I doubt we're 15-year-old children trying to scam pedos out of money, because there's a difference in mental maturity and intelligence between people of the same age, believe it or not. And I don't know any of these people well enough to have any what of a strong opinion on this. Even then, it's really hard to judge those sort of things. Just like it's hard to judge whether or not some of the claims against CUPIDITE/Daisy are true. If you want to see all the evidence against CUPIDITE along with the moral outrage, which you won't get from me here, go watch that video, CUPIDITE, the hidden predator of the animation community. That's the video CUPIDITE's doc is responding to. I will say this, based on what I've seen, CUPIDITE is correct about at least one thing. There is no direct evidence for many of the claims made in that doc. There is some things that would lead a viewer to believe the narrative put out there. So I don't think CUPIDITE calling something a clear lie is exactly correct. In this particular instance that I'm going over, there's more evidence to create doubt within Prim's story here, but that's not actually evidence. That's an argument based on many other elements that pop up in this doc. A pattern of behavior argument that some people aren't going to care about when it comes to this topic here, despite both of them being 15 at this time. Are they even considering the intelligence and mental maturity of this? I don't even know, because all anyone has here are testimonials. And that actually ties back to the MamaMax situation. He had 3 women come forward accusing him of being an abuser. All 3 of these women are established to have some sort of a relationship with him, yet because of the YouTuber who put it out, wasn't familiar with the type of content that drama streamers and commentary channels typically do. He made several mistakes that let MamaMax do a lot of sus stuff. Now, maybe CUPIDITE is trying to follow that example, a bit of a stretch. But honestly, that standard ended up becoming part of MamaMax's undoing. Why this video is just focused on the small little MamaMax section and a little bit of the doc against and to counter some of the claims against CUPIDITE. The main reason I'm making this video is because it's clear that MamaMax influenced a lot of younger people and creators. People who were victimized or felt victimized at the very least and saw him as a hero to emulate. I don't know whether or not CUPIDITE is guilty or innocent, but I do know that online pedo hunters, especially the self-proclaimed ones who do it for content and for glory, seems to have an effect on young, impressionable people, almost pushing them, encouraging them into the dark corners of the internet. Places where they can be exploited in many different ways, wank material, drama material, or both. On top of that, this kid trying to make YouTube content around this related subject matter is probably an extension of what they were doing before, like clicking on a random suspicious Mr. Beast, Matt Pride channel because they were boasting about their content being so much better and getting curious about this one video. I know very few people who would go that deep, even me, who occasionally clicks on things but wouldn't go to the lengths CUPIDITE did. But again, I'm not a 15-year-old MamaMax learner. It's really the line of CUPIDITE. Upon reviewing the video again, I noticed something off, blah, blah, blah. Traced what I perceived to be a child's silhouette. Like, who in their right mind or with a mature mind would do any of that, even for content? And why would someone accuse another minor of sending illicit material, CP, based on that? I would give my opinion on that, but it's rather irrelevant, since what originally got me to look at all these things is this cult environment where CUPIDITE claims to have saw a clip of this particular notorious piece of CP, beyond CP, from what I know of it. And given the nature of the internet, I do believe this could very well be the case. I know from the doc that this isn't just the influence of MamaMax which led to this. It definitely was a catalyst for this particular person's journey down this really fucked up road. It was just one of the many elements that contributed to all of this. And there's other examples out there with other content creators and friends group. There seems to be an epidemic of these collectives of kids and other cognitively impaired people out there forming up, finding each other online to share in deviant behaviors, which lead to doing rather reckless and harmful things both to themselves, each other, and generally the wider internet, with what is commonly known as harassment. To what level? It varies case to case, group to group. And is it because their home life is messed up? They have no hope, they're black-pilled or propagandized by older people to join in this fucking thing that can feel validated at first, seems like the right thing to do, but underneath they're no better, and generally not under someone who's much better than the people they go after. Again, I don't want to paint a broad brush. Case by case, nuance should be applied to any of this and how it has affected the internet as a whole on a couple different levels. It's a small little puzzle piece that I like to collect. I might not be able to assemble it all, but by putting this out, maybe someone will come along and they'll have the pieces that I'm missing. With that said, I'm done, at least for now.
And if you yourself are a victim of child predators, please do not be afraid to speak up about it. I know it's scary and embarrassing and feels disgusting, but no one feels that way about you. We feel that way toward them. I promise once you reach out, you'll feel real freedom and power over them. Be stronger than they are. If they threatened your life, we will threaten theirs. Put them in prison for what they did to you. You really could save another child from the trauma you suffered if you do something about it. And guys, thank you so much for watching.